This episode is for Friday, January 30th, 2015. Welcome, Meteor fans. I'm your host, Josh Owens, along with my co-host,
Rye Walker.
Welcome, Rye.
Hey.
In your fancy new office there.
Oh, yeah, real fancy.
Yeah. Working audio and video. Nice.
For the moment.
All right, so this week in Meteor Land, we will be talking about upcoming features in Blaze, using package.json in your Meteor app for fun and profit, getting started with Meteor.js, user accounts, updated site, and news, and building a SaaS app with Meteor using Stripe, part 1. And then we're going to have a little discussion at the end as well about background workers.
Yep.
All right, so this one, upcoming features in Blaze. I thought this was interesting. First, Rye said, MGD, you guys rock. This post was on Medium. I think that's a first.
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever posted any kind of like official MDG stuff on Medium that I've seen. Actually, I'm trying to see. It was on Sashko's account. So he was just writing about, I think, the Blaze stuff that they're working on. And I don't know. Like, number one, it's awesome to see this. Like, I love it. Like, keep it up, Sashko. Number two, like, I don't know. It's kind of weird because Sasha kind of pioneered template-level subscriptions in his blog post, and then someone decided, hey, let's clean this pattern up and make it work in Blaze, and so that was like a pull request, and now it's like officially in here in a new feature of Blaze.
Yeah.
But I still love seeing this. They've also added in local template state, so now instead of having to do all the setup that you do for using reactive var, you can now just I'm assuming this is in like master or something, or the develop branch. You can just say like this.vars, and you can set and get things out of there that are kind of like template level settings, which that is actually a pretty awesome pattern. I used it the other day. Pretty sweet. And then the other thing is they're going to change each, so that you'll say, instead of saying like each teams, you'll say each team in teams, which I think is a little more expressive and probably reads a little better. So I love this stuff. I'm glad they're like posting this and putting it out there. And I don't know. What do you think of it?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, we've had a conversation, internal discussion about session variables recently. You know,
how shitty they are.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, tech purists say it's a global variables, therefore it's bad. For me, like, I've never had a problem. I know global variables are quote bad. And
well, the problem is remembering to tear them down, right?
Yeah, I generally only put like an ID in there, so I don't even care about that a lot of times, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe that maybe some people were putting big objects in there.
Well, you know, if you go look at accounts entry, which is deprecated, by the way, you can actually see where sessions could potentially be a problem, because we have like, we're setting errors in a session variable, and then we have to remember to tear them down, otherwise they're going to pop up in other places. Yeah. So, you know, and that's exactly where I used this the other day. I added a reactive var, and I captured the error from Meteor logging in, and just used a reactive var instead, and so it's just kind of like template local, and it gets destroyed when the template goes away.
Yeah. So I like the simplicity of using session variables. I see that why reactive are better. I don't like that you had to have all that extra crap before they're doing this refactoring or this feature in Blaze. Now that they'll put it into Blaze, I'll use that all the time. You know, it's the same pain as a session, but better, you know, architecture than sessions. So yeah, I think it's awesome. I love all the changes they've mentioned. I love the blogging experiment to toss it out on Medium, just let people, you know, just share what they want to share. So I think it's a good move.
Yes, I agree. But you know, the thing I really want to see from them is, you know, they mention components somewhere in here in this article, and I feel like, they're talking about Accounts UI as their version. Let's see. We hope that eventually any functionality can be added to a Meteor app can be added through packages that bundle self-contained, fully featured UI building blocks. One current example is the Accounts UI package, but I think somewhere in here they actually use the word components. This means a UI component system can take advantage of the functionality across the entire stack.
Yep.
So I think that's great, but I'd still like to see something deeper, like integrating with HTML5 actual components.
Right.
Just
yeah, because I think like HTML5 components web components are like, they're kind of like a subset of a good Meteor component maybe, because the Meteor component can also have server-side code that's doing stuff too.
Sure. I would agree with that, but to me, I feel like we're missing out on, like, I remember Gerard tweeting a couple months ago about like someone made an audio player web component, and I'd love to be able to just grab that and shove that into my code and make it work, irregardless of whether I'm in Meteor or not. I feel like, the fact that we don't support web components still means that we're kind of limited to being in Meteor land.
Yeah. So, I agree, but yeah, keep going.
Anyway,
they didn't say when this stuff's shipping, did they?
They did not. Keep in mind, since we're past Meteor 1.0, all our changes will be backwards compatible until Meteor 2.0. So you can use the new style or the old style.
Oh, that's cool.
But there's really not many changes in here that aren't backwards compatible. So.
All right. Yeah. Cool. All right. Next topic: using package JSON in your Meteor app for fun and profit. This is from Gerard. Yeah, it's kind of a cool little post he did, talking about features of. I didn't realize there was a script node in the package JSON file. Did you know about that?
I didn't know about it, but I'm not surprised. I mean, I guess I did to some degree, because that's how the CI stuff works over for like Travis and stuff.
Gotcha.
Similar.
So like for me, I do have like these aliases, but they are global. Once again, I'm a global variable guy. No, I just go, like, if I need something that I'm just tired of typing, I just go into Bash profile and pop it in there. And I generally use it across multiple projects, so that works just fine. But yeah, this is cool. I like that it gives you a way to share the commands with your teammates and standardize how some of these processes should work, like deploying and stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I'm so glad Gerard put 2 and 2 together here and then put it out in an article, because even for testing, like we can start issuing commands in there and people can run those, and I don't have to worry about whether they type the right stuff or not.
Yep. Yeah, and some of those commands he has in there, the build command apparently, where you've got to set the node environment, vulcanize true, and all this other stuff. That would be a pain in the ass to have to share across the team otherwise.
Yeah. And it seems like a cleaner way to share it, right? Like, I've seen other people check in scripts or something like that. Like, this is nice. Node already has a way to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my comment on the blog post was, I like the triple colon dividers he did. He said, "That's it. That's all you got out of this thing." So.
Nice. All right. Next is getting started with Meteor.js, or as I said on Crater, the best damn getting started post ever. I didn't write this, but I did publish it. It was a guest post on my blog. Ben Strahan wrote it, and he put a lot of time and effort into this thing, and I think it shows. Mm-hmm. I love the animated GIFs that he chose to put in it too. That was not me. That was all him. But it's funny. It's funny. I got an email from someone, and they're like, "Those animated GIFs are annoying."
Yeah.
Okay.
Just keep scrolling.
Yeah. Need like a hide button, I guess. Yeah. But no, it's got a bunch of great stuff in here. So he's got some required reading in here, like learn JavaScript, some shell stuff, JSON, Mongo, handlebars, jQuery, like all kinds of links of stuff you should look at or read over. Then some optional stuff like Node and Cordova, Elasticsearch, Ionic, all kinds of crazy things. And then he starts to get down into good Meteor tutorials, and looks like there's 12. And he tells you whether they're free or paid, or how much they cost using dollar signs, and then tons of packages that he tends to use all the time, service providers, and then if you stick all the way through to the end, he's got a ton of like blogs, vlogs, and news places and that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, so just when you think it's over, a new section starts.
Yes.
I think it's great post. I'm sure
Yes.
that'll be nice SEO for you for many years to come.
Indeed. I'm hoping that'll get me like on the first page for Meteor. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yes, and real quick before we move on, the sponsor this week, you'll hear it if you listen to the podcast, it'll be in pre-roll, but is Modulus.io. They'll be sponsoring us all year. They are the best Meteor.js hosting option out there. So, awesome.
Absolutely.
Big thanks to them.
All right. Next topic is user accounts. For Meteor has an updated website, and it's pretty damn awesome. I'm so glad we deprecated accounts entry because I don't want to be competing with this right here.
Yeah, I know, right? So, I think the gauntlet's been thrown down for like a ton of open source kind of projects, right? Because if you don't have an animated GIF showing off how your app works or your little package works, like you're failing.
Yeah, I've done those before. Yeah, and I'm like looking at the Polymer one down there, and I'm like, maybe we should pull that in. I'd have to compare that with what we're doing, custom. But anytime you can throw away custom code for standard code,
yeah, why write custom?
it's a good day, huh?
Indeed.
So, yeah. So I don't have too much to add other than the fact that it's good. Use it, and I don't know. Do you have anything else to add about that one?
Yeah, there was he said something in the actual post. Here it is. Come on. What did they do? They added Polymer, which you saw. They added a lot of improvements and options that just went out with 1.6.0.
I was just handed a Heineken.
Oh, nice. I got some, not Heineken. I got some in the fridge, cooling down. Yeah, so it looks like we may be even seeing Materialize CSS framework put into play too for those that don't use full-on Polymer but use Materialize. They'll still be able to do that. So, I don't know. I'm in awe of that guy.
Yep, he's doing
a great job.
All right, next one.
Building a SaaS app with Meteor, particularly Stripe, part 1. This is from the Meteor Chef, aka Ryan Glover. This is a recipe, right? Like it just takes you through exactly everything you need to do to get Stripe going on in your application. I think it's pretty good. I know there's a couple packages out there. I don't know what the state. I know Greg did one. I don't know what the state is of that, but this one, this isn't a package, but again, it just walks you through everything you need to do. Like it shows you how to build the plans. Does it sync the plans up for you, or do you have to build those separately? I wonder.
Sure, it's a long post.
It is. There's a lot of stuff in here.
Which is great. Again, if you're just learning how to build Meteor apps, it's really I love seeing these sort of things out there because it's tough when you see a tutorial that's like, oh, here's 3 lines of here's the hard stuff, but then they don't show you the easy stuff. And if you're new, you need to know it all in order to get it to work. So yeah, it looks like this is pretty comprehensive. Yeah, it looks like defining the plans happens probably actually in the UI.
Yeah, you got to do it on Stripe, it looks like.
Yeah.
But then you just grab the ID and set it in your settings.json, it looks like. So that's not too bad.
Yep. Yeah. Greg's billing package, basically, he kind of feels like he overstretched on that. It has too much opinion in it, and so someday he might do some refactoring. But in the short term, if we were going to do some more billing, which we are soon, we'll probably just copy that code into our project and not use the package necessarily.
Oh, that's sad, Panda. Be better open source contributors.
Yeah, but I'm guessing that he'll probably find a portion of it that should still stay out. So
yeah,
we'll see how that goes. We haven't gotten to that point yet with user cycle. We're getting close, but we're not quite there yet. So that's when it'll happen.
Yeah, nice.
And he used animated GIFs too, so it must be okay.
Oh, did he?
At the very end. Probably most people didn't get down
look
there.
at that. Look at that. Patting himself on the back.
It's probably inspired by you, though.
Yeah, maybe. Ben, not me. Yeah. I just do memes.
Okay.
Ben did the animated stuff. So we've got it says we've got 4 live viewers. If you guys have questions, make sure to ask them. We're going to have a quick discussion, and then we'll answer maybe one question. Make it a good one.
Nice.
All right.
Sure.
So, Rye, you popped this on. Why don't you kick it off?
Yeah. So I was asked on Twitter today, have we done any talk about background workers in Meteor? And I know there's several packages out there, and I haven't really looked at other people's, but I could just kind of give a quick overview of where we are with it, and I'd like to hear what you're doing too, Josh. But
sure.
So right now we have a package. It's called differential : workers, I think. And it is using Monk, M-O-N-Q, which is kind of nice to get started with because it uses the existing Mongo database you already have in your Meteor project. The problem with it is it doesn't scale very far, but if you start to get to the situation where you have 20,000 jobs queued up, you might get an email from Compose.io saying, stop it. Which we've seen that on 2 different projects using this package. So what we're doing, and I think we're even going to do it this weekend, is move to Q, which is Redis, and just kind of refactor our backend to use that. But
are you going to refactor the package to use Q then instead?
Yeah, I think we may change the package so that it could have multiple backends, either Monk or Q. So he's going to play with that. So you have an upgrade path. So a common interface on the front end that you can go from Monk to Q as you need that, as your app scales.
And just to be clear, the idea here is that you should start your Meteor app, and then it should you'll have a running Meteor process, and then it'll fork off a background worker and start running tasks that you need it to run. And you're not really managing that background worker necessarily. You're just writing some code that'll run over there whenever a job needs to be run.
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea.
Yeah, and for us, here's an example of where we use it. So we integrated Slack into user cycle. So when certain events happen in the app, it hits a channel. It just says, hey, this user just did this thing. And it's really cool. It's fun for the team because the team can be in that same channel, talking about the activity. It was 18 lines of code, super easy. In fact, I'm going to do a little blog post about it just because it's that easy to do and it's a fun feature to have. And everyone's using Slack now. But it would take about a second to send it through the API. It was a noticeable delay when you had that in the flow. So this is an example of I just popped a job into the queue though. And now it's right back to the same speed. So the more work you're doing in your app, it's not really important that it happens right away. And offload it to a background job. That's where you want to use it. So we use it very liberally in user cycle. Hence why we have so many jobs and why we need to use a better queue for it.
Yeah. Yeah, so the only one I've actually seen in the wild being used is my current client, and they used PowerQueue, which I wasn't familiar with, and honestly, I've only lightly touched the code just to kind of browse through it because it was throwing an error during our our Cucumber runs, and so it was stopping Cucumber from running functionally on the CI server.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really haven't used it. But PowerQ seems, pretty stable, and I think pretty self-contained as well. So it's definitely an option there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So you do have the issue of like how does it work in development, but you can actually have a different production strategy versus a development or testing strategy. So
Yeah.
it does complicate the app a little bit in that regard. So.
Yeah. Well, they were using it for doing like user insertion, like fixture stuff almost, which is weird because I'd rather just use like Cucumber, and Velocity has this notion of fixtures that I can do, so
Yeah.
I'd rather do it that way, but they already had it, so we used it. But speaking of Velocity and like background workers, it's interesting because Sam gave a talk at DevShop last night. I still need to watch the video, Sam Hatum. But he has gotten Cucumber.js to the point where you can tell it how many workers you want it to run, and basically like Velocity spins up, throws all the tests into a queue, and then it spins up mirrors, how many ever mirrors you tell it to, and each mirror just comes back and says, give me a test, give me a test, give me a test. And so if you spin up, let's say I've got 4 cores, right? You can spin up 4 workers, and theoretically they should distribute across your cores, and I can be running 4 Phantom, like end-to-end Phantom JS based tests all at the same time. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. That's how ours works too. Like you can basically say how many processes to spin up and how many jobs you want each of those processes to try to run together at the same time. And usually, I don't know if we haven't really done much tuning to figure out what the right settings are because we're not to that point yet where that's the problem. But it is firing up little node processes. I think the main thing that Greg's thinking about right now with the refactoring is like, do we really need all of Meteor? Like those processes, because we're actually forking and creating Meteor processes. They're really big and heavy. So can we get away with doing just Node and some extra stuff to make them more efficient? But we'll see. It's kind of nice to have the whole Meteor environment in your worker code.
Yeah, yes and no, right? Like I think for me, I would prefer to have the Meteor environment. Like thinking back to where I would have used a worker, like when I wrote sorting app, I was making calls to Twitter, and then I wanted to insert that into the database and do a bunch of ranking work and that kind of stuff. And like that right there, I would have preferred to have the Meteor environment available. But Sam's done a lot of work too for Velocity with the soft mirrors, and he just uses Node to directly start those up, and then wrap like a Meteor environment around it later. So that's kind of interesting as well.
Yeah. I think the main thing is it's early days for this stuff, but we've got multiple people working on it, and it'll be good. Just gotta give it some time.
Yeah, nice.
So that's all I've got around that. I just wanted to mention that for the Twitter user. I forget the handle, but get that out there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, we don't have any viewer questions. I don't know. Some people said they were watching on YouTube, so they're not sure how to get the Q&A app working. I think you have to actually be on the Google Plus page and put a comment there, and then I think it shows up in the app for us to answer. So instead, I went to the we do the Patreon.com/Meteor Club, and if you do $10 a month, you get into the Slack chat room, and it's getting quite active over here. And I've got Sasha Greif in here, and I've got Stefan Hohaus in here as well. So just trying to get some people in here. But Paul one of the supporters, he asked, "What's the average number of trains per hour that come past your house?" And I happen to know the answer to that now because I gave a training class and Paul took it and he actually counted how many trains went by in a 4-hour period, and it was 8. So we're doing 2 an hour. I think that's about right. So we've done.
I think we just heard one a second ago, didn't we?
Yeah, we've done 2 since we went on the podcast. So maybe it's a little hotter on Friday apparently. Running more cargo.
Nice. All right. Anything else?
I don't think so. Just we're getting close on the Meteor Club. I think we're not quite halfway to the next podcast goal, but if we hit that 250 mark, I think we're at like 95 right now. If we hit 250, we're gonna start a new roundtable podcast, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. A little longer format, more people. So patreon.com/Meteor Club. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, see you later.